So in New York City, police there with a suspect in custody now. A man accused of setting a woman on fire and watching her burn to death. This happened on a subway train in Queens. We need to warn you folks, some of the details disturbing. Michael George is in New York.
There is no room in civilized society for people like him to be walking around.
Officials in New York credited good police work and tips from the public with the capture of a man accused of a brutal killing. Police say as a subway approached its last stop in Brooklyn yesterday morning, the suspect walked up to a woman who appeared to be sleeping, took out a lighter and ignited her clothing, engulfing her in flames. He sat nearby on the platform and watched her burn to death as the train sat idle. Police quickly responded as the man, unbeknownst to them, briefly sat there, but it was too late to save her.
Now, around 7:30 this morning, the victim and the suspect both rode the F train to the end of the line at the Stillwell Avenue subway station. Now, police say the victim was seated when a 33-year-old man, a migrant from Guatemala, who police haven't identified yet, approached the female victim and set her on fire with his lighter, her clothes fully engulfed. Now, online videos of the incident, which we're choosing not to air, shows the victim standing on the car, taking steps with her entire body in flames, with the suspect apparently in that same video sitting on a bench just outside of the subway car before he got away. At least one responding officer appears on scene and captured clear images of the suspect on the body-worn camera video. Now, so far, again, police say the woman and the man didn't know each other, made no contact before the incident, and it remains unclear why he did.
The flames were put out. Unfortunately, it was too late, and the victim was pronounced on the scene.
Once again, the cameras put us there and put us in that direction, and we were able to figure out that he was involved in it later on after we got the camera video footage back.
Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. So I'm sure by now you've heard the horrific story of the woman who was set on fire on the subway. Minding her own business, sitting on the subway, and this person comes along who she doesn't know and sets her on fire. The images are floating around on social media. Some of them are pixelated, some of them are not. And one thing that people noticed was that no one appeared to intervene to help her. We had an NYPD officer casually walk by. We had someone who appeared to be fanning the flames at one point. And then we had people filming. The person who did this sat down and watched. Around the time of the Olympics, I did a story about Rebecca Cheptegei, who was brutally murdered by her ex-boyfriend. He set her on fire. But at least in her story, people tried to help her. People tried to intervene. A neighbor tried to help her. And that story was very much addressed as something that is happening in other countries. But now this is something that is happening right here in the USA. But yet we're being told that crime is down. Specifically in New York City, it's being reported that crime is down. Kathy Hochul, the governor, has been bragging about everything that's been implemented to reduce crime. Taking selfies on the subway. Letting people know how safe it is.
I'm on the subway train heading out to Queens Center. I have a lot of, not quite last minute, but I have holiday shopping to do. I've got an adorable 2-year-old granddaughter, so it's a lot more fun to shop. I can take the subway wherever we need to go. And I want all New Yorkers to feel safe, which is why we've added so many more National Guard, over 250 more people to make sure that your ride is as safe as it can be.
She has called in the National Guard to make sure that security is heightened on the subway. Something that people have criticised Trump for doing or suggesting. But ultimately, we've been told one thing, but we're seeing something completely different with our own eyes, including the most horrific crimes that you could ever think of. People minding their own business, falling victim to such heinous crimes we're seeing now. So we find out that this person apparently came here in 2018, and many assumed that he had been here ever since. But no, this man was deported, rightfully so, but somehow made his way back to the country. I wonder how. Anyone who comes to the US legally knows that if you break the rules, if you overstay, if you put a foot wrong, you will get deported and you will not be allowed back in. And now when someone has been deported for coming here illegally, somehow they can come back in.
Plus, a 33-year-old Guatemalan citizen who entered the U.S. illegally faces murder and arson charges for allegedly setting a woman on fire inside a New York City subway train. and then watching her die. Police say Sebastian Zapeta was taken into custody as a person of interest within hours of Sunday's crime. A spokesman for U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement says the suspect had been previously removed from the country back in 2018.
Completely unvetted, the most evil and depraved individuals are coming into the country, criminals, and it's American citizens who are suffering. To say that this administration has blood on its hands is a huge understatement. But people are looking at the person who did this and the policies that allowed this person to be here in the first place when he shouldn't even have been in this country. And then people are questioning the people who witnessed this, who stood by and didn't intervene. Now, of course, none of us know how we're going to react to something like this. There'll be people who have no idea what to do. There'll be people who just freeze up out of fear. But when you see people who are filming it, you see a police officer casually walk by, people are obviously going to notice that something is seriously wrong. There's a serious desensitization that people have undergone in recent years. New Yorkers were up in arms Monday, one day after an illegal Guatemalan immigrant allegedly burned a sleeping strap hanger to death aboard a Brooklyn subway train while bystanders did nothing. Horrifying video footage of the incident shows at least 3 Gawkers, one of them seen filming the shocking fatal blaze on his phone, and an NYPD cop standing outside the subway car as flames engulfed the unidentified victim after the Sunday morning attack. Nobody came to her aid, said Guardian Angels founder and community activist Curtis Silva. There's no doubt that people don't want to get involved. It's the Daniel Penny factor. It's frozen people. They're saying to themselves, I don't want to get jammed up like Penny. People should have been running over to the woman on fire. They did nothing. They said nothing. Silva said, calling the reluctance of bystanders to intervene the Daniel Penny effect. This may very well be the case because people have seen that if you intervene, or if you intervene and the situation gets worse, they may turn around and blame you. You may be the one who ends up getting charged with manslaughter. So people will rather not intervene and risk that. Or people are taking minding their own business to a whole new level and just simply not wanting to get involved because they don't know how it's going to turn out if they get involved. Could there be an explanation for the couple of seconds of footage that we saw where people appeared to not be helping? Maybe the police officer was going off to get a fire extinguisher. That's what some people are suggesting. But it was how casual people appeared to be responding to the situation that really struck people. 2 hours ago, Kathy Hochul took a victory lap for making subways safer. She congratulates herself on the same day 2 subway riders were stabbed in Queens, one in the face and one in the chest, and another was barbarically burned alive. Has there ever been a more tone-deaf governor in the history of New York? In March, I took action to make our subways safer for millions of people who take the trains each day. Since deploying the National Guard to support NYPD and MTA safety efforts and adding cameras to all subway cars, crime is going down and ridership is going up. But hey, at least the crimes can be caught on camera and it can help assist in catching the criminals. Not doing much in preventing the crime though, is it? So Zuby says, so a guy set a woman on fire in public NYC. People watched and recorded it, nobody intervened, and she died. And people criticize me for living in Dubai. I want to talk about how it's not safe for women. Massive LOL on this. Lord have mercy. In UAE, they have women-only carriages on the metro. They are completely optional, but they exist. Some women in the West will call this regressive and unequal. Meanwhile, it's to protect women and ensure their comfort, should they choose this option. NYC needs this. And meanwhile, over here in the US, we're trying to eliminate women's spaces. We're trying to open women's spaces up to men, and we're calling that progressive. What's so eerie is how desensitized people seem to be nowadays here in the US. Completely desensitized to the most horrific scene that's unfolding before your eyes. Even the people who are there to serve and protect seem to be desensitized now. Yes, it very well may be the Daniel Penny effect, but this is something that has been going on even before Daniel Penny, even before that all took place. the bystander effect, bystander apathy. And I believe it's particular to the West. What is going on when it comes to how people have been conditioned, how people have switched off? Where's the sense of community where we intervene to look out for one another? Where is that?
These Democrats are nothing but a bunch of liars and hypocrites. They were so vocal to talk about Daniel Penny, that he was wrong for taking the life of somebody on a New York City subway train. Sonny Holston was talking about he didn't show compassion. It's something wrong with the people on the train when they don't show compassion. AOC was talking about he didn't even feel sorry for what he did. He shouldn't feel sorry for what he did because he did nothing wrong. He protected the lives of the people on that train, and he protected his own life. But they were so vocal when it was Daniel Penny, because these race baiters love to play the game of white versus black, even though we're all American citizens. They love to put white people, black people, Hispanic people, and pit us against one another because they make money off of it. But I want to know, where are all these race baiters, hypocrites, Democrats now? Why are they not speaking about this person who should not even be in our country, who just took the life of a woman on a New York City subway train by setting her on fire? They say that Daniel Penny showed no compassion to Jordan Neely, but this person who took a match and set somebody on fire showed absolutely no compassion. Where is the outrage now, Democrats? You're so vocal, Democrats, when it comes to black versus white because you like to put us against one another. Where is your outrage now? Why are you not speaking about what just happened now? When are you going to come out and condemn the actions of a person who should not even be in this country? Is it because you don't want to come out and condemn their actions because you would have to do something in your life that you probably have never done since you've been in public office, which is called taking responsibility and admitting that the bunch of you, or the whole of you, the majority of you, are nothing but a bunch of liars, thieves, and hypocrites.
Absolute facts. It's the picking and choosing your outrage. And this is what is leading to people to become desensitized, in my opinion. Is you're playing with people's emotions, you're manipulating people, you're messing with people's minds, trying to control how people think, how people respond to certain situations. You're telling people to respond when it's a white person who's involved in, the death of somebody who's black. But then showing by example that if it's two white people, nobody cares. If it's two black people, nobody cares. You want people to be outraged about policies that affect women only when it comes to Roe v. Wade. Where's the outrage when it comes to women's safety, when it comes to putting women in danger, when it comes to women being murdered publicly by being set alight? I don't know, maybe because it involves an illegal immigrant. People were not allowed to criticize. We had Biden apologizing for referring to that monster who took Laken Riley's life, for referring to him as an illegal. We had him apologizing, but he never apologized for the policies that led to her death, for the policies that allowed that monster into this country in the first place, unvetted, where he was allowed to then go on to travel around the US and take that woman's life. And now we have this person who's been allowed to come back into the country and do the same, go on to take a life of a woman in the most brutal way imaginable. Okay, so he came here in 2018 and he was detained at the Arizona border, but was nabbed just days later and shipped back home. He was deported days after he came here illegally in 2018. So that's Trump's border policies in effect, working as they should have been. Then enters the Biden administration and allows somebody who has been deported back into the country. I don't even know how that's possible. He later crossed the border again, dodging federal agents and finding his way north to the 5 boroughs. Although it's unclear how long he was in the city before the horrific F train attack Sunday, the sources said. What is clear is that by April 2023, he was staying at the Days Inn Hotel on 36th Street, which has been converted into a migrant shelter, the first of 4 tax-funded facilities in the city. Getting his food paid for, getting his clothing, getting money for transportation, for Ubers. There's no words. There really are no words. On Sunday, police said he was at the Coney Island-Stillwell Avenue subway station, calmly watching the sleeping passenger he allegedly set on fire as she apparently burned to death. American citizens losing their lives needlessly because of reckless policies. And then they want to talk about women's rights, and they're silent when a woman is set on fire and is left to burn to death. They're silent when it comes to that. These open borders are endangering people. Apparently after the election, they went back and opened them up again. Because what's the point of actually pretending that you care about protecting our borders? We may as well go back to business as usual. January 20th cannot come fast enough. At least these young high school boys called the police. So there are still people out there who do care and who will help. So we can be grateful to these young boys for calling the police and making sure that this person is taken off the streets. And thanks for watching. Like, comment and subscribe. Take care of yourselves, and God willing, I will see you in the next video.